welcome to Third Eye TV Africa. My name is Joy Malik. The headlines. Nigerian House of Representatives calls for improved funding for the intelligence subsector of the national security. Governor of Osun State Ademola Adeleke lauds the Department of State Service for recent arrests of suspected members of Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP. Minister of Women Affairs Iman Suleiman Ibrahim condemns the recent killings and violence against women, children, and vulnerable groups in the country. Now let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we bring you the news in detail.
For deeper analysis on security situation in Nigeria and beyond, watch Third Eye Africa TV.
Welcome back. Now the news in detail. House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has described the 595 billion naira allocation to the intelligence subsector as grossly inadequate. Now, the committee has therefore appealed to President Bola Tinubu to direct the Minister of Finance to ensure full release of the 2024 capital allocation to the security and intelligence sector in the overall interest of the nation's security. Now, while commending the president for allocating about 4.91 trillion naira to the defense and security sector in the 2025 proposed budget, the committee lamented that the intelligence subsector appeared grossly underfunded. Now, chairman of the committee, Ahmed Santomi, who made the appeal at the budget defense session of agencies under the Office of the National Security Advisor, said that capital allocation to some of the intelligence agencies had not been released. And on fighting insecurity, the governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, has lauded the Department of State Services (DSS) for the recent arrest of suspected members of Boko Haram Islamic State West African Province, ISWAP, in Ilesha. Now, a statement signed by the spokesperson to the governor, Lawale Rashid, said Governor Adeleke commended the DSS for a successful operation. The governor's statement followed reports in the media of how the secret police carried out a raid on Ogbon Idio and Ifofin areas of Ilesha last December and arrested 10 suspected ISWAP members. It described the feat as a welcome development and a big relief, not just for the government, but for the people of the state and Nigeria in general. The statement expressed absolute confidence in the security forces to keep protecting citizens. The governor showed that his administration would continue to cooperate with security agencies and support operations to ensure maximum protection for lives and property of Osun people, noting that this remains top of his priorities. Now, the Minister of Women Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, has condemned the recent killings of sexual abuses and violence perpetrated against women, children, and vulnerable groups in the country, saying enough is enough. Now, in a statement, Abuja, the minister also promised to, among others, strengthen national response for social protection and women, children, and other vulnerable groups in Nigeria. According to the statement, the minister is deeply disturbed by the increasing cases of sexual assault, physical violence, emotional abuse, child trafficking, and online exploitations of morals within schools, homes, and communities. The minister said reports of violence against children are not only heartbreaking but also a grave violation of their fundamental rights, noting that every child deserves to live in a safe, secure, and nurturing environment free from fear, violence, and abuse. The statement said the Women Affairs Ministry is working in collaboration with relevant stakeholders to review existing legislations, including the Child Rights Act of 2003 and Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015, to introduce severe penalties for offenders and ensure stronger enforcement. Now, the Nigerian government on Monday approved a new 50% increase in the cost of telephone communities in the country. This comes 12 years after the last tariff hike was effected. Now, the increase was announced by the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) in the statement signed by the Director of Public Affairs, Ruben. The new tariff hike comes amid agitations by telecommunications operators in the last 2 years for an upward review of the subsisting tariffs. The operators have based their agitations on negative impacts by economy and having on their operations, lamenting the impacts of naira devaluation, foreign exchange, instability, insecurity, and other factors on their expansion plans. And on the foreign scene, the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, has granted pardons to more than 1,500 of his supporters who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021 in a bid to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Trump has, just hours after taking office on Monday, also ordered that all pending criminal cases against Capitol riot defendants be dropped. Among those receiving a pardon was the former leader of the far-right Proud Boys, who was sentenced to 22 years in prison for directing a military-style assault on the Capitol. Stewart, the leader of another far-right group, the Oath Keepers, had his 18-year prison sentence commuted to time served. Both Tarrier and Stewart have been convicted of seditious conspiracy. Now let's go on a quick break, and when we come back, newspaper and press reviews continue. Welcome back.
We're starting with the Nation newspaper, and we have Edun how Tinubu is stabilizing the economy and also reducing poverty. You can find that on the front page of the newspaper, and it continues on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. EFCC versus ex-bank chiefs, Quota Jones to February 13. You can find that page story on page 5. And to page 6, NACON fixes 8.3 million naira as 2025 Hajj fares. No compromises on guidelines. And then moving to page 7, page 6 and 27, Wike inaugurates Abaji Road. Suleja tanker explosion death toll rises to 98. First brain surgery at IPB hospital. And then subscribers kick as NCC OK 50% tariff hike for telcos. You can find that story on the front page and also the continuation on page 5. And still on the front page and also on page 5, NMDPRA, no room for monopoly in oil and gas sector. And then also on the front page, court condemns media trial, denies EFCC arrest warrant request, says Otudeco others not properly served. You can find that on the front page and then go to page 4 for the continuation of that story.
Well, federal government approves 50% hike in calls and data tariffs. You can find that in page 4 of Daily Trust newspaper. Now, Trump inaugurated, declares mass deportation, says only 2 genders in U.S. Federal government awards Abuja Kaduna highway contract to inactive company. Well, $6 billion Mambila power contract. Sunrise CEO testifies in Paris courts today. You can find that in page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Police mom as officer found dead in Abuja hotel.
Okay, let's move now to the Leadership newspaper, where we have I Don't Take This Award for Granted, which you can find on page 32 of the Leadership newspaper, where Dangote says is awarded Person of the Year. And also quite an interesting story here, talking about the Mambila power plant, talking about 2.3 billion Mambila project case. Buhari makes appearance at ICC on Thursday. I'm in Paris to put the record straight. Obasanjo, other Nigerian leaders invited to testify. You can find this story on page 4 of the paper. And then looking at page 20, military closes in on Turkey, kills son. And then on page 22, Otudeco, Onosanya's arraignment now February 13th, page 22. And then page 6, Governor Yusuf donates land for Power Secretariat. And then Naira declines to 1,551 to the dollar amid rising demand on page 32 of the leadership newspaper. We won't go to the back of the leadership newspaper. We have tax reform, a fragile consensus. And this is where we draw the line here. But